Trent Alexander-Arnold has agreed to join Real Madrid this summer. talkSPORT understands, and I'm sure you're aware by now, Simon Jordan was with Sam Matterface earlier on. They were chatting about it and had a bit of a disagreement on whether Liverpool fans are understandably annoyed by Trent.
I think the Liverpool supporters that are upset, they're hurt by the fact that someone who they've supported, someone they've bought through their system, someone who comes from the same area of them, is deciding to go somewhere else. Then they're hurt by that, right?
Well, then they should grow up. He gave them significant performances. He is entitled, as they would be, to be able to. They will say, well, if I was there, I'd never do it.
It's his decision.
Ultimately, I don't think he's hoodwinked Liverpool. I don't think he's done the Sol Campbell trick of indicating to the club he's going to sign and then drop, running across town to join the biggest rivals. He's left to go to Real Madrid, and Liverpool probably, if Liverpool had put Trent Alexander-Arnold on a 7-year contract 2 or 3 years ago, people would be saying it was lunacy. And saying, well, what are you doing putting someone on a player contract like that, because you'll take away their motivation. This is the nature of the beast.
There we are. That's matter of fact take on it from Simon with Sam there joining us now. A man who's I'm trying to think if he made an unpopular move. I mean, Forest fans were sorry to see him go. Here's the former England, Liverpool and Forest striker Stan Collymore. Hi, Stan.
Hello, Stan.
Well, Charlie, Forest fans were very unhappy to the point that when I went back with Liverpool to the City ground, there was almost a kilometre sort of cordon sanitaire, because the feeling was really angry. I mean, obviously, a year or two before I left, well, the year I joined Forest, Roy Keane had gone to Man United. Going back many years before that, players like Neil Webb, Nigel Clough, Gary Birtles had gone to Liverpool and Manchester United. So it was a big deal at the time and a big decision to make. Mine was simple, was that it was I played for a great club in Nottingham Forest. I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve, promotion back to the Premier League and then third in the Premier League, which may only now be matched by the team this season. And because Forest couldn't spend any money at the time, I thought, well, if I stay for another season and I score 18 goals instead of 25 goals, and the team finishes 7th or 8th or 9th instead of 3rd or 2nd or maybe even 1st, then my legacy would be tainted anyway, and it was Liverpool Football Club. So from a Trent Alexander-Arnold perspective, I think that we need to detach, separate, and it's a very, I just obviously heard the clip and watched Simon and Sam make both very, very valid points, and they're both valid points. That's the interesting thing, is that if you look at it from a football perspective, Trent has been at the club for 20 years. He's 26 years of age, so you would look at this as your main move at the peak of your powers if you're a professional footballer. I think I was 25 when I went, so not dissimilar age, when I went from Forest to Liverpool for a British record transfer. He's won the Premier League, FA Cup, a couple of League Cups, Community Shield, Champions League, Super Cup, FIFA Club World Cup, played in other Champions League finals. So there is literally, and I don't want to burn any bridges with Liverpool fans, I just want to say from a player's perspective and a business perspective, of which you have to have that ability to be able to think like that, because it is show business, not just show friends. Even if he is a Scouser, even if he is imbued as a Liverpool supporter on the cop, that he writes contracts, signs contracts to do business with Liverpool Football Club, and that's the difference. He's not joined Liverpool Football Club and been paid handsomely and said, I'm going to be here forever because I'm a Liverpool fan. It's a two-way street. If he'd have barely broken into the first team and made 50 appearances, this kid's going to be great. And he breaks his leg against Everton in the derby and unfortunately can't play again, or he has aborted attempts to come back and play again. Liverpool biff him off. Let's have it right, Liverpool fans. They get rid. And he doesn't have the legacy with Liverpool Football Club that he may have now. So it's really important that all supporters detach themselves, and they're all mostly sane human beings, football supporters. We all get miffed when our hero leaves, etc., etc. But we understand that we're walking into a business more than ever when we walk into a football ground. Is that Trent Alexander-Arnold has the ability to go on a free transfer. He's won everything there is to win, so he will look at it and say, I can't do any more. If I win a second or a third or a fourth Premier League, from an achievement perspective, who cares? And so there are a very small handful of clubs and very rarefied air that you get to breathe as a footballer. Liverpool is one of them. You know, in England, Manchester United is another. In Germany, it's Bayern Munich. In Spain, it's Real Madrid and Barcelona. In Italy, it's Juventus, AC Milan. And he has the opportunity to go and play for, arguably, by any measure, to play for the world's biggest football club. And at his peak, contribute to them to win La Liga, which would be a different experience for him, Champions League, which they've almost made their own over the years. So from that perspective, Paul and Charlie, I don't blame him. From the Scouser in our team perspective, of course he's going to sit back and think, family, friends, been here for 20 years, the club have looked after me really well. But he's looked after them really well. So it's a no-sum game. Liverpool have put development money into him. He's given performances and trophies out. So I'd like to think that Liverpool fans will take a pragmatic approach and say, we're not going to be meh like we were with Steve McManaman or Emre Can and, you know, other players that have said they're going to stay or you would hope to stay and they've ended up going, is that they would just look at it in the cold light and day and say, we're Liverpool Football Club, one of the world's biggest football clubs. We already have a really good right back to slot in Conor Bradley. We might have to spend some money to be able to have the longer range passing and some of the other things that he brings. But Liverpool Football Club will exist, or existed before Trent, during Trent and after Trent, and still been successful.
Just a quickie, Stan, because we've only got a minute or so before we're going to talk a bit of England after this. Should the fans who have been, I've seen quite a lot of stuff on social media today from Liverpool fans very upset that he's going for nothing, not so much that he's going on a free. On that basis, should they be more upset with the club than they are the player because they've let it get to this stage without getting a deal done?
I think so. I think football clubs now have huge recruitment departments, and they would have looked at the situation. And as Simon Jordan said in his praise of the situation, they could have given him a much longer contract, which would have insulated them. We've seen it with so many players that you know that they're on the radar of several other clubs. So just before that interest comes in a firm bid, they give the player a new contract. We know he's not going to stay for 3 or 4 years. We're not stupid. We just know that it's to insulate and to be able to protect the club. So yes, from a business perspective, Liverpool have dropped the ball on this Trent Alexander-Arnold thing. I would like to think that the vast majority of Liverpool fans in the cold light today would say the club dropped the ball on the tying him up to a deal and getting dough for him. In terms of what he's achieved for us, we cannot and will not give this lad a hard time because he's given us everything and he's going off to play for a club that even a die-hard Kopite, that if they lived the dream and wore the number 9 and scored in front of the Kop, even then, if Real Madrid comes knocking, you listen.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons, 1 till 4. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.